Hello, my name is Charlie and this is my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a February wrap-up and March TBR. I have my phone, which has Goodreads on it, and I have a couple stacks of books over here out of range of the computer's camera. But here we go, and let's get started. The first book I read this month was actually something I finished from last month. It's called Night by Elie Wiesel. It is about Wiesel's experiences during the Holocaust in the Auschwitz concentration camp. And it was a very sad book, but very well written. I did not rate that one. Yeah. The next book I read was called Not Even Bones by Rebecca Schaeffer. I gave that one 4 stars. It is about a girl whose mother kills magical creatures, and then the girl dissects them and the body parts are sold on the black market. Eventually the girl herself gets sold on the black market, and yeah, the plot progresses from there. That's kind of the main bulk of it. It was very good. I'm probably going to be continuing the series. 4 stars if I didn't already say it. I'm really good at forgetting whether or not I say the star ratings. I also might be doing a full-length review on it because there was a lot to say about that. A lot of good things, but also some like, hey, what you doing there things. The next thing I read was One Dark Throne by Kendare Blake. I gave that 4 stars. The lighting's weird. Okay. So 4 stars. It is the second book in the 3 Dark Crowns series. And, yes, I'm not going to summarize the next one because, like, this particular one that I read, because it's the second in the series. But the first is basically, there are these triplets, they have magical powers, and they have to kill each other, and the one who's left standing becomes queen, and that's how it's gone down for a long time on that island. And the triplets have a mix of feelings about this sort of competition kind of thing. Yeah. It was good though. I did have some issues, but mostly very good. I will say, for the people who have read it, I love Catherine, I love Billy, and I love Braddock. Braddock the bear. If you haven't read it, you don't know who Braddock is, and that is the bear. But basically, I really love those 3 characters, and the other characters I have issues with. Some of it's like I have issues in a good way, as in like, oh cool, you made a conflicting character, and others I just don't like. Oops. After that, I read Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. I gave it 4 stars. I love it. I would have given it 5 stars because my heart was like, oh my god, this is amazing. But just the actual, like, quality of the book was more like a 4 star, but I'm still absolutely in love with it. Like, even though it's 4 stars, I love it so much. I love the characters. Before I continue gushing, summary, basically a girl named Sophie, she gets turned into a 90-year-old by the Witch of the Waste because she makes the Witch of the Waste cross, and she ends up getting to the Wizard Howl's castle, and yeah, basically Sophie's like, wouldn't it be nice to be a teenage girl again? I don't really dig being a 90-year-old lady. Howl's doing his own thing. He does not have a good reputation, and while his reputation is worse than the actual things he does, he still doesn't do great things. I still love him though. He's like a conflicting character in like a great way. So I love them all. My favorite characters are Michael and Calcifer. Calcifer is a fire demon, you know. I love Michael and Calcifer, and also Sophie and Howl and everybody, but, you know, my favorites are Michael and Calcifer. That, if you haven't read it, that was completely disjointed, but basically, if you haven't read it, read Howl's Moving Castle. It was suggested to me by my mom when I was a lot younger, and so I wasn't really interested because all the characters were a little bit older, and also the writing style was not completely something that I was used to, because I feel like I did read like a little snippet of it. But semi-recently I was like, oh hey, that's something that a lot of people talk about, I should read it, and then I just didn't for a while. But I did this past month, and I loved it. I wish there was more than 3 books in this series. I have the 3rd book with me right now, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want it to end. Then I read Barcos Vikingos al Amanecer, which is one of the translated versions of Magic Treehouse. It's by Mary Pope Osborne. I gave that one 3 stars. It's definitely not one of the best of Magic Treehouses. It's the Viking one. Vikingos is a cognate and stuff, but if you still weren't sure, it's the one about Vikings. Jack and Annie go to Vikings times. Jack considers becoming a monk. It's a whole thing. Like I said, 3 stars. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't all that good either. Then I read The First Mouse, My Father Bleeds History, by I Could Hold Things, by Art Spiegelman. This is a graphic novel about Art Spiegelman's dad's experiences in the Holocaust. The main plot does follow his dad's experiences as a prisoner of war and the other things he lived through at that time, but there's also kind of a secondary plot about Art's relationship with his father. It's very interesting. I give it 4 stars. I haven't read anything like it because it has kind of the 2 plots, and it's a graphic novel, and it's about the Holocaust, so it's, if you want something that's a little bit easier to read, like, you know, there's still some pretty really awful things that happen in there that were hard to read, but it's easier to read than something like Night. Also, if you're interested in the graphic novel aspect of it, I would definitely recommend that. Where am I? Then, I'm really excited about this one because, oh my. So I read Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst. I gave it 4 stars. The reason why, okay, so quality-wise, it's not like the best thing I've ever read, but let me summarize this first. I keep getting ahead of myself, and I'll start talking about a book before I summarize it. It is about a girl named, I forget names. It's about a girl named Denna and a girl named Mare, and basically Denna is scheduled to marry this prince guy, and she's a little nervous because she has magical powers, and his kingdom is like, magic is bad. And then she goes over there, and she deals with the magic stuff, but the main plot of the book has to deal with her falling in love with the prince's sister, and she's like, whoopsie daisies, fallen in love with the wrong person. So that's the main plot of it. It was very good. I liked the magic-y stuff. I wish it would have been a little bit more elaborated on, but the relationship was cute as heck. They rode horses, and like that was kind of fun. There are like no fantasy books that have lesbians, let alone lesbian protagonists. So, because it goes between both of their perspectives, Mare and Denna's, and oh my goodness. So I have emotions about it. Definitely gonna read the next book. Oh boy. Yeah. After that, I read the second Howl's Moving Castle book, Castle in the Air, by Diana, yet again, I'm struggling with her middle name, Jones. 4 stars. Very good. Basically, this guy named Abdullah Sorry if I butchered his name. This video is just me butchering various people's names. It's about Abdullah, and he falls in love with this princess? I don't know, some sort of nobility lady. Then she gets kidnapped, and he has to go and rescue her. It does feature some of the characters from Howl's Moving Castle, but that's mostly at the end where that happens. Yeah, very good. That's not a great summary of it. I would suggest reading summary on Goodreads or like on the back of the book, because that's gonna have a better summary of it. I didn't do well at summarizing that, but it was very good. It was a good time. I'm so articulate. Wow. Basically, just read it. Read Howl's Moving Castle and then read Castle in the Air. The last book that I read this month was, finished, was Piratas Después del Mediodía. That's the Magic Tree House book about pirates. It's another thing that was translated from English to Spanish by Mary Popa Osborne, of course. I have it here. And that was good. I actually gave that one 5 stars. I've been reading more Magic Tree House lately, but the Spanish version, because, you're learning a language. You gotta practice the language. That's how it works. And I think I've read 3 or 4 in Spanish. Well, I'm checking. I read this. Yeah, okay, cool. So this is the 3rd one that I read in Spanish, and it was just good. If you're looking for a Magic Tree House to read in any language, go for the pirate one. Basically, they go to a place that has pirates and plot. There's more plot than I feel like some of the others. No, that's inaccurate to say. It's just, it was interesting, and I was more oh shoot, you good there, Jack and Annie, than some of the other ones. So I think, as an older person reading it, it was a little bit more engaging. Though, to be fair, a lot of the other ones do have, surprisingly high stakes for, small children. And I just had much better time reading that one than the Viking one, because the Viking one didn't have, a big plot. So that one had a big plot. So that was it for, what I read this month, and now for the more TBR section of this. So first I'm going to finish Guards by Terry Pratchett. I'm already 142 pages in. It's very good so far. It's basically, there's a dragon and it's attacking the city, and the character it follows most it follows Captain Veems, and it follows Carrot the most. So it follows those are the main characters, Veems and Carrot. Such a weird name. It's explained though. And basically they're oh shoot, there's a dragon in the city, and Carrot's I gotta uphold the law, and they're part of the Night Watch, or City Watch. They're part of the City Watch, and the City Watch is kind of a disgrace. Before Carrot joined, there was 3 people on the watch, and they don't actually really do anything to uphold the law. So Carrot comes up and he's time to uphold the law, and I can't say certain things because it's a spoiler, but basically Carrot, he's great. I love him. And not just because he's I gotta uphold the law, because he's a little bit much about that, but he came from a family who takes things really, really literally, because he was raised by dwarves, and in that, in the Discworld land, dwarves take things very literally. So Carrot, he's a human, but he takes things very literally. I'm just rambling about Carrot now. So continuing with the TBR, I want to read House of Many Ways by Diana Wynne Jones. This is the final book in the Howl's Moving Castle series, and I'm so sad because I love it so much. But that'll be fun. That'll be fun. I also want to finish reading this. It's a collection of 3 plays by Harold Pinter. The plays it includes are A Slight Ache, The Collection, and The Dwarves. I have read The Collection. That was kind of a trip. It was very short. That's what I like about these ones, because they're short. Like, Harold Pinter's plays, they're very short. I've only, read the one of his plays, but I like the writing style, and I am eager to continue, but it was also kind of odd. Like, The Collection was just interesting. Also, this book was printed in, like, the 60s or something. I got it from a used bookshop, and it smells like old books smell, whether it was, like, the ink they use or the paper or the glue. It's just, it's a nice smelling book, and it's really short, which is kind of nice. Then I have Two Dark Reigns by Kendra Blake. This is, I'm pretty sure, the last book in the series. It might be. I'm pretty sure this is the last book, though I could be wrong. But I wanna finish that. Also, side note, you may ask, what is the collection about? I can't even tell you. Like, it was very weird. The back of it says, the story of the relations between 2 couples, one homosexual and the other heterosexual, was described by Richard Watts in his NY Post review of the London performance as a remarkably suspenseful and menacing kind of psychological mystery drama, and its author as having a distinguished gift for sheer old-fashioned theatrical effectiveness. I think that's kind of inaccurate, but, like, there's not really a way to describe the collection all that well. Someone gets a cheese knife thrown at him, but for weird reasons. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a whole thing. I don't know. I'm curious about what the other ones are like. Yeah. So, this book, this was in my TBR last month, but yet again, I know that I'm not going to finish it this month, but I do want to continue reading it. I didn't read much of it, but I read a bit of it last month. I'm just continuing to work on it. Is In Pursuit of the Unknown, 17 Equations That Changed the World by Ian Stewart, and it's about the history and applications of important mathematical equations. Then I would like to read the second Mouse book. This one's called And Here My Troubles Began. That's a continuation of the first Mouse, and yeah, so I'm gonna finish that up. I think it's just those 2 books in the series. Then, let's see. The other 2 books that I want to read this month are, I'm not sure if Good Omens is gonna be on this list or not, but basically, Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. It's about, like, angels and demons and stuff. I think the Antichrist gets misplaced. I don't have, like, the actual book with me or, like, the summary up, because it's currently on hold at the library, but it's not actually on hold at, like, I'm in the list of people to get the book, but, like, I don't know if I'm even gonna get it this month, because there's, like, 5 people ahead of me, something like that, last I checked. So that might not be happening this month. It'd be cool if it did, but I doubt it. It hopefully will happen next month, in April, but who knows? It could be, like, a few months before I even get it, depending on when people return it and all that good stuff. And then the last thing on my TBR, which I think it does have like a person or two ahead of me, but it's pretty likely that I'll be reading it this month if the book comes in. Like, that is more likely that the book will actually come in the library. I want to continue the African trilogy by Chinua Achebe. I read the first one last year. Things Fall Apart. It's a lot of it's about the Igbo people in Africa and what their daily life is like, but it also gets into the British coming over to Africa and being like, so how about Jesus? And some of the people in Africa are like, no, what are you doing? Please leave. And then the others actually are converting and stuff like that. And the book continues, the second and third books continue the story, of course, from different characters' perspectives. And I'm not entirely sure which is the second book because the sources that I've found seem to disagree. But either way, I ordered the collection of the three of them from the library, so hopefully I could read the second and third. Yeah, so there is what I read in February and what I plan to read in March. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, night, afternoon, what have you, and I will see you all soon.